All right, good morning, everybody. What's going on? We are real early today, and yeah, I couldn't sleep, so I just woke up a little bit early, and I want to talk about this Fury White situation. How did we get here? I hate picking sides, so I'm not really going to pick a side here. I'm just going to give you my opinion on the situation. How did we get here? Why did we get here? Um, and all that types of stuff, right? Now, as we all know, Dillian Whyte didn't show up to the press conference yesterday, so Tyson Fury and Frank Warren and I think Brad Jacobs from Top Rank were there all by themselves, talking up the fight, trying to promote the fight. Was I a fan of Dillian Whyte not being there? No, I wasn't. Do I think it was a bad look that he didn't show up? Yes. Do I think he has a good reason for not showing up? I don't believe so. But again, he may have a reason why, and I'm going to respect his reason why. I'm not going to sit here and bash Dillian Whyte and insult Dillian Whyte and say this or that about Dillian Whyte. The fight is set for April. They're going to get in the ring. They're going to settle it. So at the end of the day, is this going to really have any impact on the fight itself? In my opinion, no. Is it going to hurt the pay-per-view buys over in the UK? Is it going to damper the interest for the fight? No, I think everyone is really hyped up for this fight. Arguably, this could be the biggest fight of the year, right? Could generate the highest revenue for a fight of the year. This could be a blockbuster. This could be massive. I would be utterly surprised if the fight does less than at least 1 million pay-per-view buys over in the UK. This has the potential, in my opinion, possibly to do upwards of 1.5, 1.6. Eventually, these two will meet face to face, I think, during fight week, and that's going to have a greater impact on generating more interest for the fight than possibly this press conference will. Now, Tyson Fury said, well, his kids are going to look back at this and say why he didn't show up, why this, why that. I don't think anyone's going to really look back at the end of the day and care about this press conference in particular. When it's all said and done, people are going to be more concerned about the fight, how it went, and how each fighter looked in the fight, But there's a lot of inconsistencies here. And once again, I'm not here to take a side. I am a huge Tyson Fury fan, but I don't begrudge Dillian Whyte for trying to get the best deal possible for himself. I don't begrudge Dillian Whyte for playing hardball here in the negotiations. But what I do have issues with is the inconsistencies and just the flat out misrepresentations of the rules here. People just saying incorrect things that just aren't true. No one's going to sit here and defend a sanctioning body. We all know they're political. We all know they have their favorites. We all know that they enforce their rules very inconsistently based on the situation. I've interviewed Mauricio Suleiman before, asked some questions about the rules, and he always seems to say, well, we deal with things on a case-by-case basis, meaning they reserve the right to enforce or apply their rules as they see fit, the way they see fit, how and when they see fit, right? Basically. So everyone's sitting there saying the WBC broke their own rules. They're supposed to do 70-30 for a standard purse bid. And if there's an interim champion, it's 65. It's 65 or 55-45, excuse me. And okay, that is listed in there, but if you look deeper in here where it says purse offer procedures under Rule 2.6, titled the WBC's authority to modify or cancel. So let's pull this open. Let's read this. It says, with respect to any purse offer that has been ordered, The WBC has the sole and exclusive authority to modify the purse offer procedures set forth herein, including all timetables, deadlines, duties, and obligations of participants, and the respective percentages of bout purses payable to the boxers. The WBC also shall have the sole and exclusive authority to cancel any purse offer previously ordered based upon the facts of the individual case or upon circumstances as determined by the WBC. And I'm going to laugh at this last couple words here. In its sole discretion, which many of the rules, and pretty much all of the WBC's rules, end with those words, in its sole discretion. So people can say whatever they want about the WBC breaking its own rules, but the WBC has put themselves in a situation where they can modify, adjust, or even flat out not follow their rules if they don't want to, as written here, you know. So at the end of the day, who do you blame here? Like, can Dillian Whyte complain? Sure. Does he have a right to be a little bit upset with the situation? Sure. But you have to ask yourself, how did we get here? The only reason why this fight went to purse bids because Dillian Whyte didn't want to agree to the original terms. Now, I'm not here to say, what's right, what's wrong in terms of. I'm not here to determine what a fighter's worth, but this whole thing about people looking back at what a fighter's done pay-per-view wise, and what he can draw. To me, that's irrelevant because I don't look at that. I look at the event itself and the interest for a particular event. So if you put two fighters together at the right place, the right time, in the right circumstances, in the right situation, they're going to sell. Andy Ruiz, Anthony Joshua 2, according to some reports, has the record for most pay-per-views sold in the UK. Sold more pay-per-views than Vladimir Klitschko, Anthony Joshua. Now, is Andy Ruiz a bigger star worldwide than Vladimir Klitschko? No, but because that particular event had a story behind it, is Andy Ruiz a one-hit wonder? Can AJ redeem himself? There was an interest for that fight because of the circumstances. Now, this is a fight that is an all-British world title fight, right? Dillian Whyte's finally getting his shot. There's bad blood between the two fighters. Reportedly, I guess are reports out there about sparring, how Whyte got the better of him. Again, I don't know any of that in terms of if that's right or wrong. I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a big event, in my opinion. It's just going to be a big event. People are talking about it. I'm hearing from a lot of UK fans that people are excited about this fight. Whether you love or you hate Fury, you may, as a UK fan, tune in to see him win or tune in to see him lose. But at the end of the day, Dillian Whyte put himself in this situation because you're dealing with the WBC here. You were ranked number 1 by the WBO. You had an opportunity before to fight AJ for 3 titles, but you were so hell-bent on this WBC title. And you had these issues with the WBC for a long time. You never had a good relationship with the WBC. Do I think they've treated you fairly over the years? No. But again, I'm going to go back to a statement that Lou DiBella said to me one time in an interview. He said, if you're looking for fairness in boxing, he said, fairness does not exist in the sport of boxing. So this isn't the first time that politics have gotten in the way of a situation or have reared its ugly head in regards to these sanctioning bodies. I mean, look at Floyd Mayweather. He was a WBC champion in multiple weight classes for years. How many mandatories has he fought in his career, right? Look at the original deal that Dillian Whyte was offered to fight AJ. I believe he was offered 4 million, then they upped it to 5. I think it was back in 2020, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or 2019. I think it was 2019. And then he turned it down, and Eddie Hearn offered him only 5 million for a shot at an all British fight with AJ. And AJ is more popular than Fury, and definitely was more popular than Fury at that time. He had 3 belts, so he was offered 5 million for that fight. He turned it down, but no one's yelling at Eddie Hearn. Oh, why did he only offer Dillian Whyte 5 million and he offered Big Baby Miller 7? Right. So when you look over the years at what challenges have made, right? When you look over the years at what challenges have made, you could look at AJ's opponents, right? Outside of Klitschko, and even I think Joseph Parker put himself in a good situation, but the majority of AJ's opponents have made 20% or even less than that, right? And how much did Usyk get to fight AJ? It was reported that he got like 4 million, which was significantly less than this 8 million, half more, more than half. Dillian Whyte's getting more than half, double, 50% more than what Usyk's got to fight AJ. So this is nothing new. Like, we're all acting surprised that the A side is utilizing his leverage. I don't understand that. So at the end of the day, Dillian Whyte put himself here because he allowed the fight to go to purse bid. I was hearing, and I don't know how true this was, that Bob Arum was willing to give him 6 million as a guarantee and 25% of pay-per-view revenue. So we talked about this before, Little Penny, that he had the potential to make more with that deal than he is now, because win, lose, or draw, he was going to get pay-per-view upside. Now he gets no pay-per-view upside because once it goes to purse bids, there's no pay-per-view upside. There's no requirement for them to pay him a pay-per-view upside. So he put himself here. He was so hell-bent on fighting for this title when there were other options out there. He could have fought AJ. He could have fought for other world titles. At one point in time, he was ranked number 1 by the WBO. But now he's the WBC interim champion, so he took himself out of those rankings. For some reason, for whatever reason, he was hell-bent on fighting for this WBC title. So you have to deal with the repercussions, and you have to deal with the treatment you're going to get from the WBC because it's political. We all know it's political. You already knew that you weren't one of their favorites. And if they were treating you so poorly for such a long time, right? And then you're going to arbitration, you're suing them, and then you're expecting them to do you any favors, then that's on you. You had opportunities to go other routes, but you chose to stick to this WBC route, expecting it's like the battered girlfriend keep going back to the abuser. They've been treating you shitty for years, right? Again, the whole situation with Aaron, was the deal fair? I mean, that's not for me to decide. I would think that he should have at least gotten 30%, in my opinion. But look at the percentages AJ fighters have gotten. Look what Ruiz got percentage-wise as the champion going into a rematch, and he got a flat fee with no pay-per-view upside as the champion, right? So again, I don't want to hear about what guys have done because Andy Ruiz is not a pay-per-view star, but look at the amount of pay-per-views that he generated in the rematch with AJ. And of course, that was AJ, but it was also the circumstances, again, the redemption type thing. Now I'm hearing that Whyte is this pay-per-view star. I don't know. I'm just going to look at some of these numbers that I found. And again, I'm not going to say these are accurate. These are according to Eddie Hearn. Dillian Whyte in the Parker fight did 300,000 pay-per-view buys. Whyte Rivas did 200,000. And I believe it says up here, according to Hearn again, Whyte Povetkin too did 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, Fury's last big fight in the UK with Klitschko on Sky did 500,000 pay-per-view buys. So I don't know how to interpret this. I'm hearing that Whyte is this huge pay-per-view star. It's not for me to decide. I don't live in the UK.
Hold on a minute, babe. Hold on a minute. What were the Deontay Wilder pay-per-view figures in the UK?
The Deontay Wilder pay-per-view fees in the UK? Oh, I don't know. I'm talking about Fury's pay-per-view numbers against Klitschko, and the reason why I'm referencing that is because let me finish. The reason why I'm referencing that fight is because that was Fury fighting as a challenger, and that was Fury fighting in prime time in the UK, right? So in terms of who's the star, who's not the star, we can at least agree that Fury is in a position of power here as the A side in this promotion. So of course he's going to utilize his leverage. Whether or not Whyte deserves more, it's irrelevant because Whyte chose to put himself in this situation dealing with the sanctioning body that he's had problems with for years, that apparently has not treated him fairly, according to him and Eddie Hearn. So why continue to work and pursue this title when there were other avenues to go down? Now, I don't know how accurate these pay-per-view numbers are, but at the end of the day, I'm going to stick to my original statement. It doesn't matter what guys have done in the past. Wilder was never a pay-per-view star, but him and Fury were able, because you put those two together, they had a story, they had controversy, there was a build-up to that fight. People wanted to see it. It did 850,000 pay-per-view buys here in the United States, the second fight. The third fight did 650,000 pay-per-view buys. Are those record-breaking numbers? No, but those are very respectable numbers for a guy who according to Eddie Hearn and Deontay Wilder, nobody knows. And Fury, who was a UK guy, selling 850,000 pay-per-view buys in the United States. So again, I think people are diminishing the popularity of Fury here. Am I wrong in saying that Fury versus Whyte is going to at least do 1 million pay-per-view buys over in the UK, possibly 1.5? Am I wrong in assessing that?
I actually think you are, but we're going to find out, which is a good thing. But I've got a different question for you, Beeb.
Sure.
Frank Warren looked very upset yesterday.
He was.
Yeah.
He was.
Well, the question I've got is, if you are so adamant that Dillon is not a big star and he doesn't sell,
I'm not saying he's not a big star, but is he really a bigger star than Fury? Is he really a bigger star than Fury? That's the question.
This is not a question for you, Beeb. This is a question for Frank Warren.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, good.
Yeah. So Frank Warren's upset about it, but they've, in the whole run-up to this fight being signed, diminished Dillian Whyte's ability to sell in the UK.
Sure.
And overhyped Tyson Fury's ability to sell in the UK. So they're having a taste of their own medicine now. Dillon has
it's personal. It's personal.
If I can't sell, you don't need me to promote the fight. So why are they complaining and bitching about it? They treated him badly. So he's going to do the absolute minimum from a selling the fight point of view, because they've made a big point of the fact that Tyson Fury's the draw. We've got Tommy Fury saying that Tyson can fill out Wembley Stadium, doesn't matter who's there. So I don't understand why they're not happy that Dillon didn't go to the press conference. I would assume they would have thought they don't need him.
But at the end of the day, I'm going to ask you, John Daly, and I'm going to go to you in a second, Little Penny, because you've been waiting patiently. I'm definitely going to let you chime in here. This is the way I'm looking at it. If I'm Dillian Whyte, I'm saying to myself, well, you know what? As mad as I am about this situation, I'm part of it, right? So if I'm part of it, right, my name is on this, right? This could go down as history, right? It's not about promoting this fight. It's about me promoting myself. I'm the brand too. If I'm trying to enhance my brand, right? Why would I not want as many people to see me beat Tyson Fury as possible, right? It's not about them. It's about me. Why would I not want to put myself in a situation where I can be on the biggest stage to showcase my abilities, my talents? People can there's other ways to make money here for Dillian Whyte. He can get sponsorships. He can go on talk shows. He can, by increasing his profile, if you're looking at the long game here, he can become a bigger star with a good showing here, win, lose, or draw. So why not allow the most people available to see this fight if you're Dillian Whyte? Why not promote yourself? Why not be concerned about your brand and not so much Tyson Fury's brand or the fight's brand? This is about promoting yourself. This is about you being part of something. Why would you want something that you're part of to fail? Why would this is more about UK boxing. It's bigger. It's bigger than Whyte, and it's bigger than Fury.
Babe,
Why
who's
would you
this?
not?
Babe, who's the Dillon Whyte fanboy over here defending this nonsense? You know what I mean? Who are you, his lawyer or something? Come on, man. Let's be honest. I've never seen a guy, miss a fucking press conference. Dillon Whyte, he's a no-show. Tyson Fury, he pumps fear in his heart. Tyson Fury, the #1 heavyweight in boxing, undefeated, WBC, lineal champion of the world. Tyson Fury, he looking for all the smoke. Just tell Dillon Whyte to show up to the fight. He didn't show up to the press conference. He better show up to the fight.
Let little Penny get in real quick, and then we're gonna go back to John.
Yeah, hey, shout out H. I think he should definitely be in that press conference because he's getting paid, right? He's getting paid $8 million, right?
Correct.
Part of that $8 million is attending the press conference. And I actually, to be honest with you, I think the reason why he didn't attend is because maybe he thinks that because Wilder did this, right? He probably wants to mute himself because he knows that Fury can get into his head. And as you well know, look, Dillon Whyte, he's not the most calm person in the world. So anything that Fury might say in a press conference, it might, who knows, man? He might start throwing tables and stuff like that. I don't know, but he should definitely be in the press conference, though.
So John, you think it would? Do you agree with Whyte not showing up? If you were in Dillon Whyte's shoes, would you have shown up? Yes.
I understand why he's done what he's done, because basically they've said you don't sell, so he's saying fine, you don't need to sell the fight. He's not going to get a penalty on his fee for not selling the fight. He's still going to get paid his $8 million, and he doesn't get a single penny of the upside or anything else if it does well. He also doesn't suffer if it tanks. If he wins, which is the real long game, there are huge fights out there. He's got no rematch clause because he's the mandatory. So why disturb his training camp to help two promoters who have heavily disrespected him in the build-up to this, saying that Tyson Fury is the show, that's what everybody wants to see. Let's find out. Let's find out if Tyson Fury really does sell like that. As for thinking that Tyson Fury can get into Dillian Whyte's head, I don't think you know Dillian Whyte very well, Lil Penny. I'll just be honest. Talking about a man that got shot in his leg when he was 13 and took the bullet out himself because he didn't want to go to hospital. If you really think that when Dillian loses it in press conferences, it's not staged in the same way that Derek Chisora does as part of the sell of the fight, then that's fine, that's your opinion. But I think when Dillian does get aggressive, it's contrived. I don't think it's real.
Hey, John, there's been examples in the past where the challenger, for example, Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard actually took the flat fee and Hagler took the upside on the pay-per-view, and Hagler won because the pay-per-view did well. But because Sugar Ray Leonard was there at the press conferences, the event became bigger. Same thing with De La Hoya Trinidad. De La Hoya took the flat fee because he didn't think that the pay-per-view would do well. But the pay-per-view for De La Hoya Trinidad did like 1.4 million or some outrageous number, 1.8 or whatever it was. And it was Trinidad that won. But that's because both of them were in the press conference. You know what I mean? Now, so that flat fee to me, that part of that fee is going into the press conference, right, John? You
could be right. I understand what he's doing. But I don't think that this fight's going to appeal to anybody else other than the hardcores in the UK, if I'm really honest. Tyson Fury is still not a mainstream star here, and they've been trying to push him for a while. I don't think the tickets will do well, predominantly because, and you won't understand this, but Frank Warren shows have a real reputation for a lot of violence and trouble in the crowd. And certain things that were said in the press conference were to appeal to that football hooligan element yesterday, particularly saying he's going to knock out Dillons on St George's Day. So I think people who know about boxing and understand what goes on at Frank Warren events, which regularly do have crowd trouble, will be put off. One of the things that Eddie Hearn's been successful in is making boxing events feel like a safe environment. If you're going to reference Marvin Hagler, when he came here to beat Brian Minto, have you seen the footage of what happened? Have you seen the crowd violence that happened?
Yeah.
So Frank Warren's, it won't be that extreme, but he's stirring up those elements for this fight, and he's known for having those elements at his events, which is why I don't think it'll sell out Wembley. I could be wrong. Tickets have gone on sale today.
So you think this fight's going to bomb then? You think it's...
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about 850,000 buys. Listen to me. 850,000 buys for Deontay Wilder Fury 2, but the break-even point, allegedly, based on what they spent on it, was 1 million buys. So effectively, actually took a bath on that. And
yeah, but the zone took a bath for 2 years. They lost 1.3 billion and 1.4 billion. Like that doesn't matter if they lose money, because they're not. Frank Warren and Bob Arum aren't using their own money. Bob Arum is using ESPN's money, and Frank Warren's using BT's money. So like you're dealing with entities like ESPN is owned. ESPN's owned by Disney. Disney's not going to go bankrupt anytime soon.
They can afford to take these losses. But
of course they can. Just like the zone's taking billion-dollar losses, and they can be afforded because people are going to keep injecting money into these fights. This whole break-even point and these guys losing money. These guys have been around. Bob Arum has been around for 50 years. He's got a net worth of $300 million. I mean,
I'm just telling you
these are all irrelevant points, because at the end of the day, these fights still generate a lot of money. They still generate a lot of money, and these networks continue to put these events.
And you're just talking at me. You understand that if it costs you more than you make back, that is called a loss. So the purses.
But again, people take losses all the time in this sport. Like, why do we only why? This is the problem, John. Let me finish. This is the problem. This is a problem, John. Let me finish, John. We're so concerned when certain fighters and certain promotional companies who we don't like lose money. But then when we talk about the zone losing $1.3 billion in 2020 and $1.4 million in 2019, everyone's like, well, why do we care about that? We shouldn't care about that.
No.
So we can't pick and choose, John. In 2020, every promoter, their events did not make money. No events were making money in 2020.
Hold on a minute. Right. DAZN have backed off from spending a lot of money on boxing in America because they took such big losses.
That's false, John. That's totally false.
They
just gave Canelo a 3-fight deal. What are you talking about, John?
Right, okay, hold on a minute.
You're wrong, John. We have to be honest here.
Questions. You're complaining that I talk over you, and then every time I start talking, you start talking.
Of course I do, because I have to correct your correct your misstatements. I have to correct your misstatements.
You have to let people do it to you, then. Will there be a pay-per-view element to Canelo's fights on DAZN because they have taken such heavy losses? And will Canelo's 3 fights with DAZN actually end up being on a pay-per-view platform?
Yes, they're all going to be pay-per-views. They're all going to be pay-per-views.
That is a result of the losses that DAZN have taken.
Okay.
So do I support it? Does it make Eddie Hearn look wrong? Eddie Hearn said pay-per-view in America was dead. And now that he's found out a very harsh lesson, that if he wants to continue to put boxing on in America, he's going to have to change his model because they were taking such big losses. So no, I'm not picking and choosing, B.
John, this is my point, John. This is my point, John.
No, because you asked me, and I'm still not given the courtesy to answer the question that you actually asked me. Is do I think this fight is going to do well in the UK? You asked me the question. I haven't answered.
No, I respect your opinion, John. I'm not here to change your mind.
Do you want to hear it or not?
I do want to hear it. I'll be quiet for a couple of minutes.
So my view on this is I don't think it's going for 1 million pay-per-views. I'd be shocked if it does. The BT platform does not promote in the same way as the Sky platform does here. BT is up for sale because they're making a loss. BT has Premiership and Champions League football in the UK. That should be a license to print money. But because they're not actually very good at promoting themselves, like Sky are, Sky Sports News pumps promotion out 24/7 and a huge number of people watch that. That's why Eddie Hearn was successful, and potentially he may suffer a lot now that he's moved to DAZN here. There's a lot of questions to be asked about whether that's going to work here. BT's got a track record of failure in the pay-per-view market in the UK. They don't have a track record of success.
Well, isn't BT affiliated with Sky?
No, they're competitive.
They're not on the Sky platform. Adam Smith said they're on the Sky platform, so he's rooting for them.
So the way that it works here, if you're a Sky customer, you can sign up to BT. You can also, and I've had it myself, you can also be a BT customer and sign up for Sky, and you can also be a Virgin customer and have BT and Sky. But that's not the point. The Sky Sports News is a promotional tool to promote their events. BT does not have an equivalent. And also, DAZN and Eddie Hearn is now suffering because they no longer have access to Sky Sports News. And this is a very specific thing. So, yeah, if I was a Sky customer, I can buy the Tyson Fury fight. If I'm a customer to none of them, I can buy the fight. I'm talking about promoting the fight, Beam.
So you don't think a lot of Sky customers are going to buy this fight?
No, you're missing my point. Sky Sports News is the tool that promotes the fight. It's a promotional tool to advertise events. And Eddie Hearn's success, a huge amount of it is not actually Eddie Hearn, it's Sky Sports News. And now that that's been taken away from him, if you go and listen to Beats, Boxing Beats and Rhymes, he talks about this a lot. How is Eddie Hearn going to cope without having Sky Sports News?
Yeah, I think that was a bad move. But AJ, but AJ can still be on Sky though. AJ, they're still negotiating with AJ though. Right?
AJ may well be on Sky. I wouldn't rule that out. What I'm trying to say to you is BT have failed to sell their platform when they have as many Premiership football matches on their platform that Sky do. And the reason BT is up for sale at the moment is because they've not been making a profit. Yeah. And it's because they're not good at promoting themselves. And that's the main question I have over this fight. Because it's a BT promotion, it may well tank because they're not. Sky is, at the moment, Sky is still the best at promoting their fights. Look at Cal Brook versus Amir Khan, a fight that was well past its sell-by date, actually performed well.
What did that do? What did that do? 600,000?
Yeah. And the reason
that's pretty good for a fight of that stature.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason it did so well is because the Sky promotional platform is still the best at promoting in the UK.
I would agree with that.
So that's my reason and my basis for suggesting that I don't actually think this fight's going to do as well as a lot of people in America might think, because you're not privy to this sort of stuff because it's what we get pumped to us on our TV.
But John, these two guys are in their primes though, with Fury and Whyte. So
I'm going to pay for it. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen.
But John, once again, we're going back and we're looking at the past. Why can't we just?
I'm just making a prediction based on.
But hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. We sit there and we go back and we look. What did this guy do? What did that guy do? But that's irrelevant because this fight is at the right place at the right time in the right situation. Like, this is an interesting, intriguing fight. It's two UK fighters.
I can't wait for the fight, Beeb. I'm just telling you what I think the numbers are going to be.
I just think Tyson Fury will be on all these British talk shows. He'll be on Good Morning Britain. He'll go all over the place. He'll be on ESPN First Take. I think Tyson Fury will create a lot of buzz and interest for this fight.
Well, the good thing is, right, if you're right, and it's a huge sellout, long term, it means bigger fights in the UK.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, why would people not be rooting for this fight to do well?
Who said I'm rooting?
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you.
Because Tyson.
I know that you. I know that you do.
disliked.
I know that you do. You do take a check from Matchroom, though. That is
No,
factual.
I've just said that I think Matchroom's made a huge mistake leaving the Sky platform.
I agree. Now, what is your take on?
So I don't know why Matchroom would pay me to say that.
Well,
I've also pointed out that Matchroom.
Well, you had to take a pay cut ever since they moved to DAZN.
And I've also pointed out that Matchroom have had to rescind their statements in the US market, and they're going to have to put Canelo on pay-per-view because they can't afford to do what they've been doing because of the losses that you were pointing out.
And you know why? You know why I believe that Matchroom lost these last two purse bids? Because in my opinion, I think DAZN was more concerned about getting the Canelo 3-fight deal done than focusing on these other fights. And
Yeah,
I think they wanted to put their money behind Canelo.
Canelo's a proven commodity.
Yeah, so they're investing in. So everyone's sitting there saying, "Well, Hearn's been out hustled." No, DAZN wanted Canelo first and foremost.
Well, there's also a counter argument that Eddie knows this fight's going to tank, and he's weakening his opposition by making them make a loss.
But his press bid was pretty high, though.
But maybe he thought if he won it, he could make money on that. This 42 million purse is one of the reasons I think the fight's going to tank. Because how many pay-per-views is it actually going to do in America?
Well, let me ask you this.
About pay-per-views in America, bolstering it up. And do you think that the Americans are going to buy this fight on a Wednesday afternoon?
I think 300 beats.
I think this is going to do 300,000 pay-per-view buys.
Okay.
That's a lot.
So
that's a lot.
What's that worth in money?
That's
$80?
That's $80 times
I'm
300.
I'm asking to do the maths.
24 million.
A lot of, that's
24 million. So that's
a lot.
That's half. Yeah.
So what?
So
if
on top of
million?
that,
What if it does a million in the UK?
A million. Have they announced the price point for the pay-per-view in the UK?
It's probably going to be higher, but they haven't announced it.
I think it'll be £30, which is the top.
So 30 million plus 24.
Yes, so that's making a profit.
That's a $54 million fight, bro.
Yeah, but it's that's
plus the gate beats the gate.
That's a 10 million. That's a £10 million profit.
Plus international TV too.
Yeah. So if it does as well as
John,
you guys are predicting,
John, this is a massive fight, John. Come on, John. Let's be honest. This is a massive fight.
Well,
Let's be real.
I don't think it's
John, you honestly believe this is a massive fight? Stop.
You can't read my mind, babe. I don't think
I can actually. I can see it. I can see you. I know you, John.
I don't think it's getting.
I know you, John.
I know you, John. Babe. And you know.
You know,
he's going to do a million pay-per-views.
John,
we'll
deep down inside, John, you know this is a massive fight. Let's stop.
I'll tell you what I am hoping for, that it does do well. I'm also hoping that Tyson Fury gets his ass completely knocked out for everybody to see, and we don't have to deal with his nonsense anymore.
That's not going to happen either, John. You know that.
I don't know
that's not going to happen either. Come on, John.
I don't know that it's not going to happen. Derek Chisora went 12 rounds with Vitaly Klitschko. Dillon knocked him out with one punch. You can't rule out a puncher's chance.
Dillian Whyte struggled with Chisora twice, and Fury took him to school twice.
But he put him to sleep with one punch. So
but he was losing the fight badly.
You're not listening to what I'm saying, Dave. I said he's got a puncher's chance.
Deontay Wilder. We were told Deontay Wilder had a puncher's chance too. We were told Deontay Wilder had a puncher's chance too.
I don't rate Deontay Wilder's power. We've had this.
Hey, John, is it?
Yeah, but he's got more knockouts than Dillian Whyte does.
Yeah, but look at the level of competition.
Tyson Fury's got more knockouts. Tyson Fury's got more knockouts than Dillian Whyte.
Rule out the level of competition.
Look at Dillian Whyte's level of competition. Look at Dillian Whyte's level of opposition.
So he's knocked out some good people, and he's not knocked out good people. I'm only telling you he's got a puncher's chance, but you're ruling that out.
Anyone's got a punch. So Tyson Fury's got a puncher's. Can Tyson Fury knock out Dillian Whyte?
Yes, you probably will.
Yeah, you probably can. I don't really rate Dillion's chin.
Yeah, against Povetkin, he got
What do you
slept.
now?
No,
Is AJ?
hold on a minute. That's against that punch that Povetkin put on him could sleep a lot of people.
I would
He
agree with
slept
that.
against AJ as well.
Povetkin is one of the most skilled punchers in terms of placement and delivery in a long time, and that punch would have taken a lot of people out.
Didn't he
But,
nearly get
but
slept by
Dillion,
as well at
Dillion's
the end of that
chin is
fight?
not. I'm not backing Dillion's chin.
Joseph Parker knocked him down twice, and if that wasn't if Joseph Parker didn't get headbutted and they didn't count that knockdown from the headbutt, Joseph Parker would have won.
Joe, have I said Dillion's got a good chin?
No.
And did I say Tyson can knock him out?
Yes.
So I don't understand what you.
Who's going to win this fight, John? If I put a gun to your head, who's going to win this fight? Let's be honest.
Well, all the odds are stacked in Tyson Fury's favor because Dillon can only win by knockout. Because even if Dillon somehow managed to win on points, we've just seen what happens with Josh Taylor when you're backed by MTK and Bob Arum. You won't get the decision anyway.
John, how did you score that Catterall-Taylor fight? I had that fight razor close. If I flipped one,
I didn't have it close at all. I had it 116, 111.
That's too wide, John. Come on.
Well, that's how I scored it. You asked me.
I have to respect it.
Rounds. I'll go for the rounds with you if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did actually score it 1-6 for Catterall. 7.
Oh my! All 6, John. Not one. Not one to
six.
Taylor.
All 6.
Jesus Christ! Wow.
He's absolutely schooling him. I'm not the only person who scored it.
I scored it 5-1.
I'm not the only person who scored it like that. 7 for Taylor. 8 with a knockdown for Catterall. So that's 10-8 round.
What about 9, John? You didn't give 9 to Taylor?
He got knocked down. Oh yeah,
no, 9. You didn't give 9. You didn't give 9.
It's a 10-8 round.
I know.
9 for Taylor, which I think is when Catterall had a point deducted.
Yeah.
10 for Taylor, but Taylor had a point deducted, so that cancels themselves out. 11 for Taylor, 12 for Catterall.
You gave 12 to Catterall?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
All right.
And I thought the rounds where Taylor did win, he looked pretty.
Yeah, he won sloppily. He won sloppily.
He was ineffective, and I do think that Catterall's gas tank went towards the end.
Hey, Beebs, just to make this podcast interesting, I'm actually with John here. I had about the same, not the same score, but similar score to John. I thought he won. I thought Cat won comfortably.
I just didn't have it close at all.
I had it 113 to 112 for Catterall. And
I thought it was a robbery, Beebs, man.
No, because listen.
But Beebs accused me of taking paychecks from Matchroom, but I know that Top Rank pay Beeb regularly. It's like a promotional platform for Top Rank.
No, I have offline arguments with Bob Arum.
Well, if you can make it,
I criticize Bob Arum a lot offline.
Quite a bit of time.
He tells me I can't go on record with the conversations we have.
Saying Eddie Hearn has made several mistakes recently, and you're accusing me of being on Matchroom payroll. I don't think Eddie
Hearn's made any mistakes recently. To be honest with you,
I think leaving Sky is probably a mistake.
Yeah. I don't think Eddie Hearn's
unless he can find an alternative way to pump out his events.
Because this is what Eddie Hearn's going to do. Eddie Hearn will still work with Sky with certain fighters. I don't think he'll be exclusive with the Zone for everybody. Because Eddie Hearn...
We'll see what AJ does. I'll be interested because
here's the thing.
Come out and done.
This is where Eddie Hearn is smart. This is where Eddie Hearn is very smart. The fighters who are on the Zone have the ability to fight on other platforms.
No. He's actually clever there because But not always.
Am I correct in saying that, John? Yes or no?
No, I'm agreeing, and I'm also pointing out.
Okay, so I mean,
maybe you didn't hear me. I said I think you're right, and he's clever.
Hey, John. Since you're in the UK, I'm just wanting a feel of what people think in the UK about the Zone's long-term plans. In my personal opinion, I don't think boxing is in the Zone's long-term plans. I think they're just in there for the subs, and once they get the right amount of subscriptions, because they'll add in soccer and maybe ice hockey in the future in America, And then once they get the subs and then get like movies like what HBO did with Game of Thrones, that's when they'll kick out boxing. So is that what like the UK think, or do they think that the zone is all in on boxing in the long term for like, longer than
currently, the zone is not a very wide spread out because it is predominantly associated with boxing, which is still more of a minority sport in the UK than a lot of people realise. And it's very clear to me that the zone do want to move into football, because that's why they were interested in buying BT, because BT have got an equal number of Premiership games to Sky, I think. It's about the same anyway. They've also got Champions League football, and Discovery came in, which is what made them back away from it, because I'm not sure that they had the money to compete with that. But 100%, I think that if you wanted to be a sports channel in the UK, you need football. And what Sky have actually done, and this is the whole big thing about Sky Sports News that I was talking about before, most people watch it to stay up to date with football. So what Sky do with that, because so many people watch it, they use it as a platform to promote their other events. So boxing has actually got big in the UK off the back of football. And if you can get the football crowd interested in your events, you've got the casuals. You've effectively got the casuals, and you've got their eyes on your events.
Hey, John,
if you wanted to do boxing, you probably need football. It's like, think about it like this. It's like advertising your boxing on the platform that everybody in America watches the most popular sports on in America, whether it be NBA or football. I don't know which is most popular. I think it's the NFL.
Actually, it's college football is probably the most.
Yeah. So if you could promote your boxing events on a platform where everybody's watching college basketball, that's basically what they do with boxing here, but they use football for that, and that's why Sky's been so successful at doing it. That's actually been the bedrock of their success.
Yeah, but John, I don't know if the Zone can get those big deals with, say, English.
Well,
Premier
that's
League,
why they're wanting to buy BT Sport.
Competing against bigger networks, they should go with cricket or something, because
cricket's not big enough. Cricket's not big enough.
In India and Pakistan, also in England too, because there's a lot of Indians and Pakistanis.
Trust me when I tell you this. The Indian interest in cricket's massive, but I'd be surprised if you ever got them to look at other sports. I'd be very surprised if you could manage to do that switch. Pakistani community in the UK is more interested in boxing, which is what Amir Khan's success was based on.
But they love cricket
but
too.
But cricket, generally, when you look at the proportion of the UK, it's not even close to football popularity.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
And the reason DAZN wanted to buy BT Sports is access to those contracts, the Premiership contracts that they've got. That's the asset that BT have. And that's why I'm questioning the success of the Fury Whyte fight, because it's on that platform. They've already got Premiership football and they're not making money. They're up for sale. So
when I lived in Germany and I was in the military, Sky's everything. And I remember just watching a lot of stuff on Sky. I actually like Sky. Sky's pretty good. I think
got in here first. The first successful non-terrestrial TV platform was Sky. So they got in there first and they did well. And it's a very difficult thing to supersede. And BT have basically failed at trying to do that, and they're now up for sale.
Doesn't Comcast own Sky now?
I don't actually know who owns it.
Let me find out who owns Sky.
I think it's Rupert Murdoch, isn't it? News Corporation.
He might have sold it now because he's getting.
Oh, they've sold it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sky. Comcast owns Sky. Yeah.
But Rupert Murdoch is the person who started it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's UK's largest TV broadcaster with 12.7 million customers. Yeah.
12 million? That's not a
That's
lot.
actually the main reason why I'm not convinced about the numbers that they're thinking they're going to do with the Fury
Let's do
Wi-Fi.
BT Sport on Sky. It's BT Sport subscribers. How many subscribers they have?
Where are you looking, B? Because you can be a BT Sport subscriber as a Sky customer. You can be solely a BT TV customer, and you can also be a Virgin customer. And as a BT customer, you can get Sky, and as a Virgin customer, you can get Sky as well. So it gets confusing because...
So it says more than 4 million households have access to BT Sport, which includes 1 million subscribers to the company. Okay, so...
That's probably about right.
So let's look at...
But what's crazy is that
Sky Box Office does the boxing, right? Who does the boxing?
Well, it depends. So if it's a pay-per-view, it's Sky Box Office. But you don't need to be a subscriber to buy the pay-per-view. So as long as you've got access to the internet, you can buy the pay-per-view. And I would expect it to be the same with BT and this pay-per-view. I don't think you need to be a subscriber. But the subscribers will have it promoted to them.
So who does Adam Smith work for? Does he work for Sky?
He works for Sky.
Sky Box Office, or like what's
no? So Sky Box Office is just a way that Sky can make money without you being a subscriber, effectively. So all their pay-per-view events and a lot of the WWE ones, the UFC events, all the other stuff, any pay-per-view is a Sky Box Office event, but it's owned by Sky. It's just their pay-per-view platform, and that pay-per-view platform's open to anybody. You don't need to be a subscriber. But
it's the same situation with BT. You can order.
Yeah, I'm expecting it to be, but I've never bought a BT pay-per-view, so I don't actually.
Yeah, but you're gonna be buying this pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, I've already told you that on more than one occasion. I will be buying. I will be watching.
Everyone's buying this pay-per-view.
We'll find out, B, won't we? We haven't got
1.8 pay-per-view buys is my prediction.
7 weeks. We're going to find out. Tickets for Wembley have gone on sale today, so we're going to see.
Let's do the predictions. Let's do the predictions right now.
I'm quite happy, as you know, Beeb. When I'm in the wrong, I'm more than happy to admit it.
Let's do the predictions. How many pay-per-view buys, Little Penny, for this in the UK? Let's be honest.
In the UK, I think it will do between 900 to a million pay-per-view buys.
I'm going to say 1.4 million pay-per-view buys in the UK.
I'm going to say 500 to 750.
Oh, man. Come on, man. Khan and Brook did less than that.
Yeah, but it's on a different platform. I'm just trying to point out this is what I've been talking about.
I don't think the platform matters in this situation.
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we, B?
Not in this situation.
I'm more than happy.
This is the greatest heavyweight. The greatest heavyweight of all time is fighting in April, man. This is the greatest heavyweight.
He's definitely not greater than Joe Louis, Mr. Habib. Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali have got a lot. They've done a lot that Tyson hasn't done.
6'9" and moves around the ring like a gazelle. Who does that?
That's a different.
6'9".
That doesn't make him proven. 25 title defenses of an undisputed title. Muhammad Ali cleaned out the heavyweight division in the 60s. Then he went and did it in the 70s. Tyson Fury's had 2 world-class opponents that he's beaten. It just pales into insignificance, Beeb. You cannot compare him to those 2 guys.
Not for accomplishments, no.
Yeah.
Well, so then it's a very subjective opinion.
Of course it is. But if I put Tyson Fury in the ring with Joe Louis,
I don't know.
I'm picking Tyson Fury all day.
Simon fight. If you go and watch the Abe Simon fight, if you go, which other big units did he knock out? Joe knocked out some very big guys. He was always a little guy fighting big guys. He had a lot of success against big guys at hand speed and inside game, and the way that he closed distance and cut off the ring, and the actual technical ability to deliver knockout blows.
Very leaky defense from Joe Louis. Very leaky.
Only
Yeah, I think-
really in one fight. If you go and watch,
Matt Schmeling.
yeah, in the first fight, yeah.
You see the Billy Conn fight? Did you see the Billy Conn fight? He lost to a light heavyweight.
Yeah, I know, but Billy Conn's
Come on.
speed troubled him. Billy
Come on.
Conn's speed and movement troubled him. But
He
when
was
it
good,
gets,
Bibbs,
go and watch the
he was.
Max Baer fight, and you talk to me about his defense. Go and watch
Tyson
the
Fury is
match. I've
clearly,
watched all of
clearly the
Joe's
best of all
fights.
time.
He
Tyson
can
Fury's
hit Bibbs, dude.
All right, that's
Powell
leaky
was
defense.
better than
Leaky
Wilder.
defense. Nevin Pikich put him down. Steve Cunningham put him down. John McDermott put him.
But he
Like
didn't
the
get
amount
up
of
there,
people
John.
that
He
have
got- he
put
got up
Tyson
on all of
Fury
those.
down on the deck.
irrelevant.
So why is it relevant for Joe?
Because Joe Louis doesn't have the ability that Tyson Fury has.
He has
Tyson
better
Fury
technical ability when it comes to delivering punches.
No, he doesn't.
Come on, let's be honest.
No, he doesn't.
If you go and watch Tyson Fury punch, it's like a complete display of total arm punching. There is a total lack of hip rotation.
There's a
He
method.
doesn't
There's a method
really
to that.
get a lot of
He
power
slaps
in
with the
punches.
hook as a diversionary punch to open.
No,
up the
his
power.
straight right is not particularly heavy as well.
Oh, it's incredible.
Deontay Wilder's
It's
chin
incredible.
was not so bad.
Oh, it's incredible, that right hand.
All right then. Well, we're going to find out, aren't we, Pete?
He's got a higher
We're going
knockout.
to find out.
He's got a higher knockout ratio than Dillian Whyte, Alexander
Well, we'll
Povetkin.
see. Well, presumably then you're backing Tyson to knock him out in what? In how many?
8 rounds.
8 rounds. Okay. I like that
Hey,
prediction.
Bibbs,
It's a
John,
very
I think
brave prediction.
Joe Louis is a little too far. What about like Lennox Lewis, Tyson Fury? That's probably better.
That's a
bit
pick 'em.
closer.
That's a pick 'em. In my
It's not a
opinion,
pick 'em at all. Lennox
pick 'em
plays
fight.
with him, then
Pick 'em
knocks him
fight.
out. Lennox plays
Pick 'em
with
fight.
him and knocks him out. And
Pick 'em
you know
fight.
it.
Lennox a little chinny, John.
'em fight.
Lennox a little chinny.
pick 'em
I
fight.
don't know why anybody. Well, we'll see.
Lost to
But
all
that's
of them.
my opinion.
Lost to all of them.
Tyson Fury can't punch. That's my
Yeah, and
also.
also another guy. He lost to another guy too. Got knocked out by Ruckman.
Hasim Rockman, come on.
Yeah, and
He
look
didn't
at
get
the
up.
rematch.
He didn't get up, John. Where's Tyson Fury?
I'm not talking about
6'9",
having a good chin.
6'9", 85-inch
So
reach,
what?
southpaw,
So he's
moves
got
around the ring
1
like a
inch.
gazelle.
He
Oh,
doesn't know. He doesn't look.
Best
if
of
you
all
think
time.
he beats Lennox Lewis, that's your opinion. It's a hypothetical argument. I don't agree with you.
To me, Lennox Lewis.
And- and
Lennox
that's my
Lewis is the
view.
best heavyweight of my generation.
It's my generation as well.
I reckon
I
Holyfield.
think that he
John.
would play with Tyson Fury and knock him out. That's my view. Now, if you disagree
But
with it, that's
John,
fine. It's never going to
John,
happen.
I'd slightly
John, you know
favor
Lennox-
Fury in that fight.
Go on.
John, you know Lennox. When he fought Holyfield was a bit long in the tooth. Mike Tyson was definitely washed up, right?
You know that Lennox
This
is
guy
older
was
than both
too
of them.
young.
Gonna put a poll
know
in the chat.
Lennox
Who
is
wins?
older
Who
than-
wins?
Older. You know Lennox is older than Mike Tyson, don't you?
No. You can't go by age.
Do you-
man.
no, hold on a
Boxing is
minute, you're
mileage,
saying-
John. It's mileage, not by age.
Mileage.
Not by date of
Well,
birth.
who's
It's
been knocked
mileage.
out the most? I've been hearing about his dodgy chin.
He does have a
Lennox had
dodgy
been
chin.
knocked out twice by then, clean. So who had the most mileage?
And they're all B fighters too, John. It's not like they were A plus fighters. It's all B. Ruckman and McCall are B.
I've got a
minus.
question for you, Lil Penny.
Yes.
Why did Mike Tyson drop a title and pay Lennox Lewis $4 million to not fight him? That happened when Mike was in his prime.
For a bigger purse, or I don't know. I can't remember.
It was for the Holyfield fight.
Why did Lewis take it?
No, it's all legitimate. The ultimate
Why'd he
thing
take
is,
it? Why'd
There's
he
no
take
point arguing about what would have happened between Tyson and
Then why
Lennox
do
in
it
their
then,
prime.
John? Why do it then, John?
You're right. I haven't said you're wrong. My point is, there's no point arguing about Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson in their prime because Lennox is actually older than Mike. We just don't know what would have happened.
This
Yeah, man.
guy, Tyson Fury, should be in the latest edition of The Matrix, man. The way he moves in there.
Oh, he doesn't move that well. That's just
He's incredible, John. This guy's an
all right.
incredible
Okay.
fighter.
Well, if you find it
Pretty
incredible,
size.
that's-
Pretty size.
No, I'll tell you who's incredible.
6'9".
Wilt
6'9".
Chamberlain. Now that's incredible for you.
Tyson would knock him out in a half
Sorry,
round.
John. Who
You're
did you say,
talking about
John?
movement for a big guy.
I'll tell you
This is
one.
the-
I'll
this
tell
is
you
the man-
one. I'll tell you one guy that would give Tyson Fury a good fight. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because of what he did to Bruce
No
Lee.
chance.
Because of what he did to Bruce Lee. If they fought,
Oh,
Bruce Lee
right.
won that fight.
No,
Bruce
you're
Lee
just
won
talking
that fight.
about big guys who can
well,
move.
he won on a technicality because he
If you're going to talk
let the
about
sun
big
come in
guys
and
that can move well,
Hey, John,
Tyson
don't
Fury is
mention-
not that amazing. If you
Hey,
actually
John,
look
don't-
at someone like Wilt Chamberlain, that's actually a freak of
Hey,
nature.
John, for someone, just speaking of Wilt Chamberlain, his on the court record was like no one has ever touched him. His off the court record is even better.
I don't know if that's actually true. He's
Sorry?
come out and regretted that off the court record on a few.
Oh, I don't know, man. It's like a legendary now. Whenever they put on on social media,
Yeah, I
Wilt
know,
Chamberlain's
I
picture,
know.
everyone's
I'm not
talking about his
convinced.
off-court records.
I
Like
think
no
he
one even remembers
recanted
the
it.
100-point game. Everyone's talking about 20,000.
they should put
I think he
Tyson Fury.
recanted that. To be honest.
They should put Tyson Fury in the next Avengers movie, man.
Well, look,
It's too
I
big,
know
man. Come on,
that
fit.
you have Tyson Fury pajamas, Beeb. You've got his wallpaper on your wall. You've got his bed sheets. You kiss
Hold
his
on
picture
one second. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I have.
Like
Watch
him.
this.
I
Watch
can't
this. Hold
stand
on.
him.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you what I got.
He's probably got Cindy Crawford or something.
I want to know if he's watched the latest footage of Tyson Fury deadlifting because it's pretty embarrassing for a man of that size.
He moves his body. I disagree with Joe where his feet is like really
No,
good.
I
I think his
Joe's-
body,
Joe's not
the way he
serious.
moves his body for that size is really good.
I don't think Joe's serious. I think he's being silly. I think he's doing it for effect.
I rate Tyson Fury quite highly. Gypsy King.
I think it's smoke and mirrors. I think he's been very good at picking his opponents at the time that he's picked them.
Oh, man,
I'm
it
hoping
was
he's
Wilder
picked the right
it was
one.
Wilder who picked Fury, man. It wasn't the other way around.
Well, Tyson went out and said that he cherry-picked Wilder. Tyson was offered a contract by Eddie Hearn to sign with Matchroom and 3 fights to fight AJ at the end of the contract. He chose to sign to Frank Warren and fight Francis Pianetta and Sefer Safari and then Deontay Wilder. Tyson has come out and said he cherry-picked Wilder on more than one occasion. And actually, the facts bear it out because
You picked Wilder to win that fight, John, though. So was it really a cherry pick?
Which? Hold on a minute. I didn't. When?
The first two. You picked Wilder to win the first two.
No, I didn't. I didn't actually pick anyone for that. I never really backed Wilder. I'll certainly. You find me. I predict on Rafi's channel. Yeah, and I'm sure it's still up if you want to go and find it. As soon as Tyson Fury signed to Sugar Hill, I predicted Tyson Fury to knock out Deontay Wilder for the second fight, something that nobody else predicted. So
yeah, I only predicted a knockout in the third.
It's up there. If you go through Rafi's catalogue, it's on there. It'll still be available. I picked Tyson Fury to knock out Deontay Wilder long before they got in the ring.
John, do you want a Tyson? Do you want me to send you a Tyson Fury T-shirt?
Hey, Beebs.
If you want to waste your money, Beeb, you send it through to me.
Hey, Beebs. You got a T-shirt. I got one too, Beebs. You see that?
Yeah, that's not as good as this shirt though. This shirt's going to probably be worth about $3,000 in a couple.
Okay. All right.
In the UK only, though. In the UK only.
I don't feel that
this shirt will be a classic.
We'll see.
I'm gonna put this in cellophane. I'm gonna put this in plastic pretty soon because it's gonna.
You gotta get an autograph.
You do that, Beeb. Yeah, get him to autograph it for you.
Yeah, so I'm
John,
gonna.
I see you're probably an AJ fan, right, John?
He loves AJ. He loves AJ. He's got an AJ. He's got an AJ blow. He actually got an AJ blow up doll at the house.
Right. So if we're going to talk about AJ and we talk about his limitations as a fighter, I'm happy to talk about those. Do I think he was good for boxing? Yes.
Yeah, AJ was good for boxing.
AJ. Do I like him? Yeah. Am I biased? Yeah, because my kids are half Nigerian, and my kids are mixed race Irish Nigerian, and what a lot of people don't know is AJ's grandmother's Irish. So am I biased from that point of view? Yeah. Can I be honest and say he deserved to win against Usyk? Did he get his game plan wrong? Yeah. Was he horrendous against Ruiz in the first fight? Yeah. Did he quit? I don't think he quit against Ruiz personally, but Ruiz rightfully won. The ref was right.
First fight? Yeah, he did, man. He didn't come to the ref.
Well,
Because
look,
the ref is saying, "Come forward."
John, you
come
know what
forward.
I said to
I'm
my
not going to spend ages
John, you know what I
arguing on
said?
whether he quit.
John,
The
you know what I
official
said?
decision is the referee ended the fight. So
John, you know what I
that's
said?
what we can go off.
You know what I said to my friend the other day? I don't believe he quit in either fight against
No.
AJ or Usyk. But here's the thing: he was broken in both fights.
Yeah. There's
Especially the
no
Ruiz
look.
fight.
He's flawed. He is a flawed fighter, and you have to remember you've got about the same amount of amateur experience as Deontay Wilder, and he got fast tracked to a world title fight and was fighting top caliber opponents with very, very little experience. When you look at the total number of fights, I think he had 38 amateur fights.
John, does he beat Usyk in the rematch? John, does he beat Usyk in the rematch? Be honest, John.
I don't even know if it's going to happen with what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, but if I put a gun to your head, you really think he's going to beat Usyk in the rematch? Let's be honest.
Based on that performance, no.
Yeah,
if he can do what's required, and I have seen him do what I think is required, then he has a chance to beat him. But I'm not sure he will.
Yeah.
My most worrying thing about that Usyk performance is what I heard from the corner. Joby Clayton and McCracken were telling him he was winning and he was doing the right thing, and they actually thought he was outboxing Usyk, which clearly he wasn't.
You know, John, he has the power to knock out Usyk
easily, but that's not what he should really be looking at doing. So I've seen him employ a jab to the chest, and if you go back and watch the fight against Usyk, the only success he had was body shots. So I don't understand why he was trying to jab his head. It's a complete waste of time. You've got an 84-inch reach. 82-inch reach. You've got 4-inch reach advantage over Usyk. He has to come to you, and I would jab his chest to disrupt his rhythm and target his body because he didn't like it. AJ didn't do that. He tried to out-jab him. He tried to out-jab him, and he threw all his jabs
John,
at
maybe
Usyk's
AJ needs to watch a few Riddick Bowe fights. Like, use his tactic, where you use your size.
Well, if you go back and you watch the Povetkin fight, where AJ was fighting a smaller person and actually did okay, he disrupted Usyk's Povetkin's forward movement with a jab to the chest and softened him up. I'd employ that jab to the chest and I'd add in body shots. And he was trying to jab Usyk's head and he kept missing and then paying for it and getting tagged with the straight left off Usyk. So if he I just don't understand on what planet they thought that was a good idea. It was a massive failing. AJ has to use his physical attributes to win that fight. Yes. And whether he can and whether he will is completely up to debate. And if
John, make it
Usyk
dirty.
wins, it wouldn't surprise me.
Hit him in the balls or something. I don't know. Like, do what Salido does. Like, make it dirty.
I'd do that. But he doesn't even need to make it dirty. Go back and watch the fight. Every single time he hit Usyk in the body, he stepped off. He didn't follow up when he had him hurt. He went back to jabbing his head.
Well,
and the corner actually told him to do that.
You have to take a risk, mate. Like,
no, I agree. I agree completely. And Usyk's not a big puncher, so the risk is limited as well.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
But he didn't do it. So to say that he's going to do it in the next fight is very difficult to predict. And I wouldn't rule out Usyk having a countermeasure to it if he did employ what.
John, Usyk nearly got AJ out of there in the 12th round. So he does.
I think that was more the gas tank. If you actually look at the number of punches thrown in that fight, it's one of the highest numbers of punches thrown in any.
Here's the thing, John. Fight. Here's two telling things about AJ in the Ruiz fight and in the Usyk fight. After he got stopped, or even right before he got stopped, when he got hurt, and right before the ref stopped the fight, he actually turned around, put his arms on the ropes, and put his head down in that Ruiz fight. And he did the same thing after the 12th round.
I saw
in the Usyk fight.
It's a gas tank issue.
It looked like he was it looked like he was severely broken in both of those situations.
I would say his gas tank was shot to pieces.
And the best heavyweight in the world, when he gets knocked down and gets up, shakes it off like nothing, man. He never gives you that body language.
Has got a proven good gas tank. It's one of his best attributes. And whenever you listen to boxers talk about recovering from a knockdown, your gas tank is probably the most important attribute for that. So that's the question mark of AJ, and why they decided to do a tactic that would require 12 rounds of high output. I don't understand.
I would be scared. I would be scared for AJ if he
to his
fought.
favours, and sorry, to his attributes, to his advantages. They weren't playing to it, and it would not surprise me in the slightest if Usyk won the rematch.
But Biebs, if AJ miraculously wins against Usyk in the rematch, that would put him in the same category as maybe Lennox Lewis, right?
Yeah, beating every man he's faced in the ring.
And he's the huge underdog. Whereas Lennox, he wasn't that much of an underdog against Ruckman too. In fact, I think he wasn't in the favorite.
I think he was a bigger underdog against McCall.
The one problem with AJ though is AJ and I think even his team, they lack confidence.
I think it's his team lack confidence, and I think the team is horrendous, and they're predominantly responsible for him not really developing as well as he could have done. Because what you have to remember about AJ is when he started boxing and he got into the GB team, the actual plan was for him to go to the 2016 Olympics. They did not think he'd be in a position to qualify or medal for 2012 because of his lack of experience. And he did so much better than expected in Baku in the World Championships in 2011. He actually qualified for the Olympics. So he has overachieved very early on, but obviously it's not going to equip you with the experience that you would require to really be truly great.
John,
I think that's what's been found out, in my opinion.
John, similar to Amir Khan, you notice where they peaked too early, that had all of those success.
Yeah, you could say the same about Mike Tyson as well. You could say the same about Mike Tyson. He peaked too early, and once everybody realised that Mike could only fight one way because of his dimensions, he became beatable. Once people figured out that if you can get past the 6th round with Mike, he's probably going to have blown his gas tank. The mystique went, and I think to a huge extent that has happened to AJ. The only thing that AJ has shown is the ability to learn to get better and work hard. But how much more he can do on that, I don't know.
But John, you know, when Tyson came out of prison, he was a unified champ. In fact, he beat yours truly there, Frank Bruno.
Yeah, Frank's a heavily limited fighter, and he'd already been beaten by Frank.
He was a
WBC champ. Frank is another one. Do you mind me recommending other people's platforms?
Oh, I don't care about that.
Right, so Boxing Beats and Rhymes has done one about prospects gone wrong.
Yeah.
And highlighted Frank Bruno and what went wrong with how they brought Frank along. And one of the problems with British boxing and British trainers generally is they're very limited in the sort of skills that they can pass on to their fighters. It happens a lot. And Frank was given too many soft touches, and it ruined him as a prospect when he actually got thrown in the deep end too soon. Frank had tremendous attributes, natural attributes.
He had a great left hook, Frank Bruno.
He had one of the best jabs in the game.
He had a great left hand. His left hand was awesome.
Go back and watch Frank Bruno, Lennox Lewis. Frank's winning the first 6 rounds, and he's out-jabbing Lennox. He's out-jabbing Lennox. The difference between the two fighters in that fight.
And John, the Mike Tyson, Frank Bruno one. Frank was a couple of punches away from winning that fight too.
No. I watched it live.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Yeah. Frank Bruno is one of my favourite. I watched Tim Witherspoon, Frank Bruno live.
I like Frank Bruno.
One of my favourite fighters growing up. But his limitations, in my opinion, had a large amount to do with how he's brought on as a prospect and the lack of training ability in the UK.
And John, like Tyson Fury, he's got too much muscle. In the 10th, 11th.
No, I don't know that I agree.
Doesn't matter. It's too heavy. That's why they gas out.
I'm not sure I agree with that with Frank. I think what would happen with Frank was mental.
There's
if
a misconception.
He couldn't knock you out, he started to doubt himself. And one of the things that people overlook when they're talking about gas tank is belief in yourself that will push you through that pain. Potentially, that's one of the biggest attributes Tyson Fury has, is that he actually has a ridiculous belief in his ability to win. And I think Frank had severe doubts in his ability to win. I don't think it was his gas tank. He also had horrible survival instincts. So
never held. He didn't know how to hold. He didn't know how to hold. He tried to fight.
So if you go back and watch the Lennox Lewis Frank Bruno fight, Frank had Lennox in all sorts of trouble, and Lennox knew how to hold. He got through the round, and when Lennox hurt Frank just dropped his hands and stood there and took it. He had like zero survival instincts.
I like Frank Bruno though.
No, I'm with you. Look, if you wanted to teach somebody how to throw a hard, heavy jab, obviously Sonny Liston #1, but Frank has got to be in the top 5 of heavyweight jabs.
I'd probably put Tyson Fury at #1, and then I'd put Frank.
Heavy jabs. Heavy jabs. You think he's got
Tommy Hearns? Tommy Hearns, another one.
Tyson Fury. Tyson. You know what Tyson Fury?
Sonny Liston.
No, I'm kidding. You know what?
I know.
You know who Tyson Fury throws the jab like?
A wet fish.
Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns used to. It's called the flick jab. You ever see the flick jab? You know
I'm a Tommy Hearns fan. I know what you're referring to.
The flick jab.
Like Tommy.
It's called the flick jab. Watch, I'll show you how to throw it. You just flick it out like.
I like Tommy Hearns.
Flick jab.
I like Tommy Hearns.
Look at that. Look at that precision right there.
Yeah. Hagler Hearns is one of my favourite fights. In the UK, when I was a kid, we used to get all the big fights from America repeated on a Saturday afternoon on Wide World of Sports with Dickie Davis, and I watched all the Hagler and Hearn and all of those 4 King fights on a Saturday afternoon when I was a little kid.
Let me ask you this, John. Does Tyson Fury retire after this fight?
Because he gets knocked the fuck out.
No, he's still got the AJ fight.
when Dillian Whyte cleans his clock and
he's still got the Usyk.
John, have you ever wanted John, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted a fighter to lose so badly?
Yeah, there's other fighters I've wanted to lose more. Hasim Rahman in the second fight is probably the fighter I've wanted to lose.
Name one fighter who you dislike more than Tyson Fury on this planet.
Mayweather.
Currently, Deontay Wilder.
Really? Were you rooting for Fury to beat Wilder?
I predicted Fury to beat him in the second fight, and I was disappointed that Fury performed worse in the third fight than he did in the second fight. He was a lot worse.
Did you cry when AJ? Did you cry when AJ lost against Usyk? Were you sad?
No, I was a bit frustrated. I was watching it with my son, and we were a bit
Did you call him sick? Did you call him sick for work the next day? Did you at least take a day off?
I went into work the day after my father died. I don't need to worry about a boxer losing.
Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't go into it.
Yeah, but I did.
Come on, John.
My favourite boxer of all time is Joe Louis, not
Joe Louis.
Joe Louis is my #1.
Mine's Sugar Ray Leonard, and then Tyson Fury's a close. Then Tyson Fury's a close second.
I'm not a big Leonard fan at all.
And Sugar Ray Robinson.
John, you don't like SugarRay Leonard, John?
As a person, I dislike him.
What?
Snaky. If you're going to interviewing,
I interviewed Sugar Ray Leonard. He's an awesome guy.
I'll back up my statement with Leonard's words of why I don't like him. So he's done multiple interviews that he retired and he avoided fighting Hagler. And him and Hagler went for dinner. And Hagler was talking about a lack of motivation and how he wasn't really feeling it anymore. And Leonard's admitted that that's the reason that he took the fight with Hagler, because he knew that heart wasn't in it anymore and that he could win.
But he was active.
And I think that taking him to dinner and
actually
getting that information out
Leonard
wasn't snaky. Those are Leonard's
John,
words.
I heard you lost a great
John.
There's a rumor out there, John, that you lost a great portion of your net worth on that fight because you bet Hagler.
Absolutely.
There's a rumor out there.
What year was that fight?
87.
87. Yeah, I was 11 years old.
I heard you bet all your lunch money on Hagler, man.
Rafi is actually more angry about it. We rescored it.
John, I heard you had to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the next year after that fight.
We don't have those here.
You don't have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the
to start
little
with,
penny.
We call it jam, and we don't mix those two products together.
Is that true, Little Penny? Come on.
Anyway,
He's trying to tell me he never ate a PB&J.
like, I don't have a problem with the result. I think Leonard deserved to win the fight. I also think Sugar Ray Robinson was a much better boxer than Leonard.
Oh,
Infinitely
yeah.
better.
No way. No way.
Infinitely
Sugar Ray-
better.
Look how many
Infinitely
times
better.
Sugar Ray Robinson lost to guys he should never have lost to.
Like who, Beebs?
You could say
Gene-
that. But
Gene
he was a
Fulmer,
natural,
Paul
he was a
Pender.
natural welterweight, and
But
he
Gene
had.
Fulmer was-
Randy Turpin. Can
What
we just
happened
say
in the
something?
Away, though,
rematch?
Beebs.
I'm
Those
gonna
away,
no.
bro.
I'm gonna say something.
What
At
happened in the rematch?
welterweight, Sugar Ray Robinson was incredible. When he
Yeah,
moved up
he
to
was.
when he moved up to
and
middleweight.
If you actually know, his trainer struggled to get him to eat enough food to actually be a middleweight. The only reason he moved up is because there was just no money for him. There were no money fights.
No, with Gene Fulmer, wasn't Sugar Ray Robinson? That was at 175 though, bro.
No, that was 160. You're thinking of the other
thinking of
guy
someone
there.
else?
Yeah, who's the
Okay.
other guy that I'm trying to remember the guy he fought at 175.
Where he ran out of steam.
I think he's one of the guys that beat Archie Moore, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
But
Joey
he beat
Maxim. Joey Maxim.
Yeah.
Joey
Maxim.
Maxim.
Yeah.
And he was
I'm
winning
sure
that
Joey
fight.
Maxim beat Archie Moore a few times as well.
He was winning that fight against Joey Maxim before he got tired.
Yeah.
That was a 12-round fight. He would have won.
But Beebs, he beat that
but
bruiser in the middleweight
If
division.
he had stayed at welterweight beats, he would have been unbeatable.
Yeah. Here's the problem. He lost. This is what people don't talk, because everyone sits there and just repeats what everyone else says. He lost to a lot of guys he was favored to beat.
No,
he was not
did.
supposed. He was not supposed to lose to guys like Carmen Basilio, Jake
Great
LaMotta.
But
These
the
guys,
other thing
listen
you
to
have
this
to
though.
look at, Beats,
Listen to this. Carmen
Basilio's a great
Basilio.
fighter.
Carmen Basilio was like 5'6", right? He wasn't the fastest guy in the world. He's not supposed to lose to Carmen Basilio. He's not supposed to lose to Gene Fulmer. He's not supposed to lose to Randy Turpin. He's not supposed to lose to Jake LaMotta. Come on.
Those guys are all-time, with the exception to Randy
They're
Turpin.
all-time
Those
greats.
guys
Come
are
on,
all-time
I've got
greats.
a question
They're
for
not
you.
all-time
And we
greats.
said that Randy Turpin fight, that was away. And that was at the tail end of his
Doesn't
How
matter.
many
It doesn't
fights?
matter. They could have fought
How
on Mars.
many
He still shouldn't have
fights
lost the
did-
fight.
How many fights
benched
did
it, though.
boxers
Yeah,
fight
benched
in those days? How frequently did they fight?
Okay, here's the misconception about
every
that.
4 weeks.
Here's the misconception about that. This is what another thing people don't tell you. When they used to win titles, because Chavez Sr. used to do the same thing. They would win a title, then they would go and fight non-title fights. Look at some of those guys he fought. They were like 2-80. I mean, again, that's a misconception. It's not like they went out there. It's not like they went out. What they basically did. What they basically did. This is what they basically did, John, and you know this for a fact. They went out there and fought paid sparring sessions against.
They did. And there's a
So
reason.
that is.
There's a reason that they did that is because
they needed money. Because they needed money.
They did it for the money, and they didn't have the same access to media to get themselves out there for people to see them. So they also did it as a way to get access to their fans and make money from their fans. That's all true, but when boxers fight twice a year now, for large parts of the year, they're not sparring. And I still think the amount of wear and tear that the old school boxers used to be subjected to is a lot more.
Sugar Ray Leonard's prime was cut off because he had a detached retina. So because he had a time where he couldn't fight.
I just think he was a better boxer than Leonard. And you can disagree with me, Pete. That's fine.
Of course. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Come on, man.
No, he's not. He's not stronger than Leonard. Come on.
I just think Robinson was a better boxer than Leonard, and Joe Louis is my #1 all-time favorite fighter.
Yeah, that's you can.
I have Ali though. I have Ali is probably.
I don't really. I'm not particularly an Ali fan.
I love Ali as a person. I'm not crazy about him as a fighter. He couldn't fight
inside. I've watched all his fights and
couldn't fight inside.
I find his style boring.
But he didn't need to fight inside.
And I think also, I don't blame Ali for this, but I was heavily frustrated with them showing the Cleveland Williams fight when he died, because Ali only took that fight to help Williams out because he was in such financial trouble after he'd been shot by the police. And if you actually look at the fight, Williams's lead legs withered because he's got a bullet still lodged in his hip and he was paralyzed. And people go on and on and on about that check left hook, but you're doing it to a one-legged man. And if you ask Angelo Dundee what was Ali's best performance, he actually said it was against. I'm gonna have to go. I'll have to get off the
Floyd Patterson, maybe. He's gone.
So little Penny, look at this. Sugar Ray Robinson, right? Let me just see hold on for 1 second. Let me just make sure I get his record.
His record's pretty good, man. Like
when he was 151 and 12.
Oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
Listen to this though. In 1963, when he was 151 and 12, right?
Well, he was washed up by then, though.
No, but listen. He fought 3 guys in a row that were making their pro debuts. Think about that. That's unheard. That would never happen today.
Yep.
That would never happen today.
Point taken.
So if you go back,
he did fight a lot of great guys, though.
That's without question. But again, everyone talks about how they used to fight so often, but they were basically fighting glorified sparring sessions.
Well,
you know
Beebs, when Pacquiao was like fighting Barrera, Morales, and Marquez, there were times when he fought like Velasquez and all these guys who weren't great fighters.
Of course, because I interviewed Mickey Ward one time, and I asked him a question. I said, "What is the one regret if you look back on your career that you had in the sport of boxing?" You know what he said to me?
What did he say?
I fought too many tough fights in a row. It's not smart to do that. You can't fight the iron. You can't fight the iron back to 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 back. You can't do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Can't.
3 is probably the most.
And if you're a pro fighter, you really shouldn't be fighting more than 3 to at the max, probably every 3 to 4 months. If you're, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
from a health standpoint. Like these guys, even Ali, he only fought once or twice a year. Larry Holmes fought once or twice a year. Leonard fought one. Like people talk about like this whole situation. Oh, guys need to fight. Back in the day, they fought more. No, they really didn't. Back in that all started changing around the 70s, where fighters started making big money and they didn't have to fight as much as they did. Because if Sugar Ray Robinson fought today, he wouldn't have fought as many times as he fought back then. Runga, what's up, man? What do you got for me? I can't hear you, man. I can't hear you. Nope. You got to get your mic sorted out. Can you fix it?
Maybe come back in. Get out and come back in.
I'm going to remove you.
What John was saying about Ali. Ali in his prime was when he fought Liston and Pretty Boy Floyd Patterson and Cleveland Williams and those guys. And then when he fought the better heavyweights like Frazier, Foreman, and these other guys like Norton, he was already washed up because he had that break where in his prime he couldn't fight because of the.
Well, little Penny, here's another issue I have. We like to pick,
and he beat him.
Okay, but hear me out here. There's a very salient point. We love to pick and choose when certain fighters' primes start and when they end, right? But people tend to forget when Mayweather was 37 years old, he was still the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. And I asked Sugar Ray Leonard this question one time, and he really didn't even answer me. I said, how would a 37-year-old version of Sugar Ray Leonard do against a 37-year-old version of Floyd Mayweather? And you can criticize Mayweather all you want. You can pick and, criticize the opponents he had, blah, 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 blah. You can pick apart anyone's resume. You could sit there and say this guy didn't fight this guy when he should have. But at the end of the day, Mayweather, because of the way he fought, changed up his style. He was able to become more defensive. He got smarter and said, I'm gonna change my style and I'm gonna transcend my style and fight, conducively to my current state physically. I'm not going to sit there and fight the same way I fought when I was 25 years old because I'm not that guy anymore. So I have to adapt. A lot of fighters can't do that. So we can't pick and choose. Like Bernard Hopkins became a champion at 49 years old. He was a champion at 50. Certain guys have longevity, certain guys don't, because it's based upon genetics, based upon their style, based upon luck sometimes too. Some guy can you just get hit at the wrong place, the wrong time, and never be the same after that. So, you know, we can't pick and choose, you know, because Mike Tyson to me is according to boxing fans, had the shortest prime ever of a boxer. Like from 1988, like from 88 to 90, after 90, everyone was saying he was out of his prime. He was never the same. Oh, after he lost to Buster Douglas, he was never the same. So you mean to tell me the guy had a fucking 3 or 4 year prime years in boxing? I mean, come on, man. We can't pick and choose. I mean, I guess we can pick and choose. It's all subjective, but if we're being objective, it's not fair to do that. Because certain fighters, suppose like Mayweather is older than Pacquiao, but
that's a date of birth though, but not in mileage.
Doesn't matter. That's not like that's all based upon how Mayweather fought and how Pacquiao fought, styles. Yeah. So Mayweather waited for Pacquiao to get old, but Mayweather's older than Pacquiao. How the fuck does that? In what world does that even make sense, Penny?
Yeah, Biebs, as you know, I'm half Filipino, right? And I'll always back Pacquiao, but I've always thought, Biebs, if they fought in 2010, I've always thought that Mayweather would win that fight because
Mayweather would always win that fight. There was no way. Yeah. There's no way Pacquiao could ever win that fight unless Mayweather.
But Biebs, I do think that Pacquiao achieved more than Mayweather.
I agree.
You know, Mayweather's better, but Pacquiao's greater, if that makes sense.
I agree. He has a better resume.
And also think, Biebs, at age 29, 28, I think Sugar Ray Leonard will beat Mayweather when he was at 29.
I would pick Mayweather to beat Leonard.
Sorry? You
know who Leonard style wise would have the most problem with out of all those guys at welterweight? Tommy Hearns. Tommy Hearns would have given him fits. Runga, you got your mic sorted out. Let me see how you sound now.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. What do you got for me, brother?
Yeah, I think these AirPods getting old. The left one good, the right one suck. But no, I just came into the show, so I don't know exactly what y'all were talking about. But I'm just listening in for right now. Insert myself. But I hear you guys talking about fighters fighting at like certain ages and fighters prime. But I think it's all about like he was talking about mileage. I think that's a big, a major factor. And most of the fighters, they only fight once or twice a year. Now it's going down to like every fighter only fights once, except for Canelo. And how do you feel about the excuse of inactivity?
I mean, the COVID had a big part to play in all that, but I just think that because there's so many fighters now, and there's not enough networks. I think there's always not enough dates sometimes to go around. So a lot of these PBC fighters are inactive because I think PBC has too many fighters and not enough dates. So most fighters fight twice a year when they're at a high level, because again, once the opposition gets better, you can't fight as often. You can't fight tough guys as often. You know what I mean? So that's part of an issue. But I want to get your take on this whole Dillian Whyte thing not showing up at the press conference with Tyson Fury yesterday, because that was how we started this video, and that was the main topic of this video. And also, do you think that Fury Whyte fight, there's going to be a buzz for it over in the UK? I'm not sure how it's going to do over here. I'm predicting 300,000 pay-per-view buys. I could definitely be wrong on that. But I think in the UK it does 1 million. I'm predicting it does 1.4 million pay-per-view buys in the UK. I don't know if you have knowledge of the UK market. You may not. You may or may not. But what do you feel about the fight? You think it's going to do big numbers over in the UK? And are you happy about Whyte not showing up to the press conference yesterday? Do you think that was a good move? Go ahead.
I do not like Dillian Whyte at all. I felt like he was just a major blockage in like major fights. I felt like he was just there to like stop Deontay Wilder from fighting Anthony Joshua. And it's like, you finally got this fight, show up. And I think he kind of scared or he ain't got no faith in himself the way he signed that contract. And then he don't want to do promotion. I don't think he got faith in himself. I don't like Dillon White in America. I don't know. I don't keep track of like pay-per-view numbers to like compare them to others and stuff. But I know it's not gonna sell in America. Don't nobody want to watch him in America like that.
Okay. So you think
UK is gonna do pretty decent.
so? Little Penny, you think that what's your official prediction? Give me a hard line number for this fight on pay-per-view. Give me a hard line number.
I think because I think the hardcore fans in America will buy this fight. Usually the underlying figure for hardcore boxing fans, like they'll always like, with whoever it is, they'll just buy it because the hardcore fans is around 250, 300,000, right? So I think that will be the case in America. I think in the UK, as I was saying before, between 900 to 1 million.
In the UK, okay. So do you think it'll hit? You think it can hit 1 million? It has the potential to hit 1 million.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because it's on prime time. Like for example, Pacquiao Hatton, I think that did 850 at 3-4 o'clock in the morning in the UK. So this one he will be at 10 o'clock at night. So and Tyson Fury is well known in the UK. So is Whyte as well. Like not as well known as Fury, but if you put like you were saying before, Bibbs, if you put the two guys together, that results in an event, and this is an event.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And primes.
How much is the pay-per-view in the UK? Because I always heard it was like super cheap compared to America.
It is like £30 or something like that.
Just like $50, $40 in America.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't keep track of numbers because it's just too hard to like estimate and count how it will work. So, is it going on the app or is it just going to be on like regular?
No, it's going to be on BT Sport pay-per-view over in the UK, and then I believe it's going to be on ESPN pay-per-view over here.
ESPN Plus or
no regular ESPN? It's going to be ESPN pay-per-view. So basically, it's going to be regular pay-per-view on the cable providers. Gonna be able to buy it pay-per-view through the cable providers.
But can you buy it on the app, Beeps, on ESPN? Can you buy it? Which doesn't count.
There's certain ways, like for certain fights, they like for the Crawford Porter fight, they only allowed you to buy it off the ESPN Plus app. But this one, I believe, will be available through cable providers as well as the ESPN Plus app. I think they made a mistake by not allowing Crawford Porter to be purchased on both the terrestrial television and the app. But in this case.
Because Beeps, these days, a lot of people buy the fight on their phones, which doesn't count on the pay-per-view numbers. So you got to take that into account too. Like,
they add them in later though.
Oh, did they? Okay. All right.
Yeah, they add them in. But here's the problem. This is why I don't like buying pay-per-views on the apps, because I like to record them. Because how many times do you say to yourself, "Oh, this was a controversial fight. Let me go back and watch it again." You can't do that.
Watch it again on the app?
No.
Oh man, that's
can't
bad.
do it. Sucks.
You got to fix that.
That's why
the point of buying it? It's
not like with DAZN how the fights get archived. Once you buy an event, it doesn't get archived like that, because you'd have to, if someone wants to buy it at a later date, they would have to purchase it on pay-per-view at a later date. Once again, you know what I mean? So kind of sucks.
But Beeps, I do think that Dillon White will be at the final press conference though.
He'll be there. He'll be there fight week. I don't.
Yeah. And he'll participate in the, what's it called? They have like not 24/7, but an equivalent to it where
till the gloves are off and stuff. We'll see if he does that. We'll see.
He'll be on the contract, wouldn't it? If you're getting paid $8 million, you definitely have to participate in that.
I don't know what he's contracted to do and what he's contracted not to do. I have no idea.
I wanted to ask, what is the 3-belt holder? What are they gonna do with Usyk going over to Ukraine to fight? What are they gonna do with those belts? And what is Anthony Joshua doing? Is he just gonna sit there and wait?
Well, they're saying that fight's gonna happen in June, but we'll see. I'm curious to see if that fight even takes place. If I'm being honest, I don't know if that fight even takes place. If I'm being honest,
front line though, Beebs. Like,
yeah, I don't know what's actually. I don't know what's actually going on over there, and I'm not going to comment too much on those guys going over. Obviously, that's pretty admirable on their part. but I don't like to get into the politics of the situation. But you know,
Yeah,
they went over. You know, it is what it is.
It's more of a symbolic thing. They're not.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they're doing. I don't actually know what impact they have. I don't know how that whole thing's going to play out. But I just wish them well. I hope they remain safe. And you know,
Klitschko is the mayor of Kiev.
Correct.
Vitaly.
Correct.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I was like, is this fight even gonna get made? Because I just wanted to know. I was like, because we never got to see that Wilder Joshua fight, and I was like,
I love that fight. That fight can still happen, Ruga.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If God forbid the fight can't get made, maybe they have to delay it, or they just strip Usyk of the belts. Then I'd love to see Wilder fight Joshua for the belt.
Yeah.
And then when Usyk come back, get an immediate title shot. Something like that happens. I love that.
Yeah, that fight will definitely do over 1 million pay-per-view buys in the UK because that'll be on Sky.
Yeah. That'll be interesting.
Oh, I love that fight. But
guys, I'm gonna have to jump off. I got some stuff to take care of. I want to thank everyone for joining in on the chat. Thank you, Little Penny. Thank you, Ruga, for joining me, man. And let's see how this whole thing plays out. Make sure you check us out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time on the Ringside Reporter Roundtable. It's going to be the Roundtable, HCP Roundtable, I should say. And then I'll always catch us on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, man. Thank you all for supporting the channel, and I will talk to you all later, man. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a good one.
All right, man.